Hello everyone and welcome to the Bantamweight Boxing YouTube channel. I'm your host Michael Waite and we're back 2 days in a row. You may be wondering, Michael, how are you uploading so many videos so consistently? Well, it's because I've been let go from my job. No, I'm only joking. I've still got my job, but I'm just enjoying making the videos at the moment and there's a fair bit to talk about. So I've got some spare time, so I thought I'd make another video today. So I hope you guys enjoy. And the video is actually, well, today I want to talk about an interview I saw with Dereck Chisora on TalkSport. And I really, if you're a boxing fan watching this, I really recommend giving it a quick view. It's the video I'll put in the description. It's only like 9 minutes long and it's a little segment from a TalkSport interview with Dereck Chisora and a few of their hosts. And basically I just really like it because it's just Chisora being so honest, giving some real opinions on some boxing matchups. And it's just rare to see in a lot of sports where someone's just giving you, that's what I think is going to happen, that's what I think is going to happen. And it's, yeah, it's brilliant. So I thought I would look at a few of his takes. There's three main kind of things he makes a statement on, or like, you know, gives his view on. And I just wanted to give him a little breakdown and, you know, give my views on them. But the first one is about Fury. No, is it Fury? No, it's AJ Usyk. So he gives his prediction on AJ Usyk. So you might have seen this headline before already, but Chisora comes out and he's basically saying, I think AJ will beat Usyk, which is very controversial because, you know, everyone right now is pretty solid on AJ losing this upcoming fight. But I just wanted to take that, you know, and have a little discussion about it. So first of all, before we get into what Chisora actually says about AJ beating him, I just want to say, you know, answer whether I think AJ should take the fight, because again, there's a lot of talk saying he should just leave it. You know, he's been beaten fair and square and just, you know, leave the belts. But I don't prescribe to that. I think AJ's made his money. He doesn't need to keep going around, you know, cherry picking and, you know, making big money fights. I think he'll make a lot of money in the Usyk fight for sure with that rematch. And I think he should go try and get the belts back again. And I think he's got a good chance of doing it. I definitely think this fight will be a lot more competitive. And yeah, I think, you know, he's a true champion. He's shown that throughout his career. He's never going to run away from an opponent. And I think for himself, you know, he needs to give it another go. And if he loses again, then I think he'll be like, you know, it is what it is, got beaten by the better man. Anyway, established that I think he should take the fight. Now, what Chisora says is he doesn't really give too much of analysis of why he thinks AJ will win, but he basically talks about a phone call he had with AJ fairly recently, where he called AJ up and was like, you know, what are you going to do about this rematch? How are you going to beat him? He says, did you watch the fight back? And AJ goes, yeah, I watched it back, but I only watched 4 rounds because I didn't like the way I boxed. Well, no shit. You know, you got schooled by a juggler. Like, you're not going to particularly enjoy it. I'm sure he did watch the whole fight. I hope he did because, you know, for training purposes and stuff like that, you got to see where you went wrong. But he says, I didn't like the way I boxed, and Chisora's like, well, what are you going to do differently? And then a very mysterious way, AJ goes, you'll see. Well, AJ, we know exactly what you're going to fucking do. You're not going to box. You're going to go out and try and steamroll him, which is what Chisora thinks AJ will do and why he'll be successful. Now, I agree with Chisora. That is the best way of AJ beating Chisora, is coming out the blocks, giving it to him, boom, and trying to knock him out ASAP. But is it going to be as easy as that? You know, I don't think so. Usyk, like the rest of us, is going to know that's the plan. And he will train for that, similarly to how he trained for Chisora. But Chisora did give him a lot of problems when he, you know, came out fast in the block, and, you know, and AJ hits a lot harder and is probably a lot stronger than Chisora. So we'll see what happens with that. You know, there's this whole kind of talk recently, and, you know, since the AJ loss, of bring back the old AJ, the raging bull, you know, the animal and stuff like that. And I do agree with that, but the other thing you have to understand is, are we talking about the caliber of opponents getting better? Do you see what I mean? Can AJ implement, would AJ have liked to have implemented that but wasn't allowed to? I think, you know, AJ probably came into that fight wrongly trying to box, probably realised midway through the fight, I need to change something up. But I think he'd felt the power of Usyk and was worried to steamroll and was worried to let the hands go because he thought he could potentially get knocked out. I don't know. I think what Chisora says, that a lot of the stuff he's saying there is actually bang on. I think AJ got it in his kind of subconscious that I'm gonna box, I'm gonna box, I'm gonna box. And that was, and you know, proved to be a mistake. But it's all right because he's got the rematch clause and he'll go again. Whether I think AJ will beat Usyk, I don't know. But I loved it from Chisora. Bang out, gave it a slightly controversial opinion, and he's backing another British fighter, which is good to see. It's refreshing to hear someone give another, slightly different opinion of what will happen in the fight. But let's move on. So that's the first kind of statement he makes. The next one he makes is about Fury Usyk. And again, straight off the bat, he just goes, I think Fury will beat Usyk if they were to fight. And in this segment, what I liked about what Chisora was saying is, in a very quite a simple way, he really explains the advantage Fury has with his height and his reach. And yeah, it sounds so simple, but it's actually quite fantastic what he's saying, because he explains that when you fight Fury, and he's fought Fury and Usyk, he says when you fight Fury, Fury can take a step back and you can step in and you're still in Fury's range. You can step back and he steps in and you're still in Fury's range. And it's, a simple thing in boxing, having the reach and stuff like that. But he's saying that reach combined with Fury's IQ just makes him such a good fighter. And he believes that the bigger man will win that fight. I think he's saying they're both good boxers, very good boxers, but Fury, with the height, will be able to implement his, the style he likes, and will beat Usyk. I'd probably agree with what Chisora was saying now. I probably would side with that. I think Fury, I'd probably back Fury over Usyk, but I still want to see maybe, Usyk again in the rematch and stuff like that before I can make a real judgment on it. And it's hard when it's just like a kind of, it's not established, the fight's not going to happen. So we'll see. But yeah, I like what he was saying there. And then the final thing that Chisora talks about is AJ beating Fury. And this is probably where you've actually seen Chisora in the headlines recently, because it's quite a big statement to make. And this is what I think Fury's responded to it on Twitter and stuff like that, giving him a load of shit. I thought Chisora and Fury were quite close, but I don't know. Maybe not anymore. I wouldn't want to be on either of their bad sides, but yeah, it is what it is. He's made this comment saying, AJ beats Fury, which is an interesting one, because I think after we saw the Usyk fight, everyone was kind of like, the desire to see the AJ Fury fight dropped quite dramatically, because I saw that Usyk fight and I thought, if AJ fights Fury, he's going to get boxed around the ring and he'll probably do it, Fury will probably do maybe even a better job than Usyk. So to hear he thinks AJ will beat Fury is a controversial one, and it's interesting. And he's basically saying the same thing again. He thinks AJ will just come in, steamroll him. He's got to do it in the first kind of couple of rounds, come flying at him. Which, yeah, that's definitely the game plan, but, it sounds a lot easier than it actually is. I'm sure Chisora tried to do that to Fury and his head got jabbed off for, 12 or so rounds. I'm pretty sure Klitschko, that's what he had in mind of, look, this guy's a bit of an awkward guy. I'm going to just come in, still hammer this guy right to the temple. But, it almost looked like that Klitschko-AJ fight, it almost looked like Klitschko physically couldn't throw his hands. Like it was like he was dealing with a matrix, or or something like that. So easier said than done. Again, I like the idea. I like a differing opinion. It spices up the fight again. I think Chisora's main point is that AJ's got the power and he's got better boxing ability than Wilder. So if Wilder can land the punches, then surely AJ can, which I prescribe to a little bit. I do agree with that a little bit, because I said that in the last pod about White. I feel like White, if he fought Fury, is probably going to be able to do a better job of hiding the punch, or setting the punch up. And if he lands that left hook, without, slightly unexpectedly, it's probably going to knock Fury out. And the same is for AJ. He's going to have a better job at, he's got a good straight right, got a good uppercut, things like that. So those punches land, they're going to cause a lot of problems. But yeah, that was my kind of summary. Again, if you haven't seen it, really funny interview from Del Boy. It's just classic. The shit he's saying is brilliant. So I would give it an interview. I would give it a watch. But yeah, those are my kind of thoughts on it. Don't totally agree with a lot of what Chisora is saying, but as I keep saying, I just kind of rated the honesty and rated the, giving a different outlook on a lot of the fights. But anyway, thank you very much for listening. Please like and subscribe, drop a comment, and I'll be back soon with another podcast. Thank you and goodbye.